Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Banski Show. I'm your host, Banski. On my show, we talk about modern-day DIY musician life, the craft of songwriting, recording, producing, mixing, mastering, you name it, as well as guest interviews with innovators and experienced professionals within the music industry. Our first guest on episode 1, joining us on the Banski Show, is Mickey Shiloh. Mickey Shiloh is an entrepreneur, artist, and multi-platinum selling singer-songwriter and author. Coming from the San Francisco Bay Area, Mickey has been writing and recording songs since the age of 12. She's been signed at 15, and over the years, Mickey has worked with artists such as Janet Jackson, Brittany Spears, Pitbull, LL Cool J, Jeremiah, Vic Mensa, Wiz Khalifa, T.I., The Game, and many more. In 2018, Mickey was listed on Forbes 30 Under 30 in music. In 2019, she judged the 30 Under 30 in music. Today, she runs multiple businesses, including her independent record label, HRDRV, where she helps other artists build their music careers by providing numerous services such as distribution admin, platform for artist collaboration opportunities, beat libraries where artists and producers can connect, university of resources, and ongoing webinar sessions, mixing, mastering, marketing, consulting services, and the list goes on. I caught up with Mickey to discuss her latest projects, books, music, HRDRV, and much more. Please enjoy our discussion on the first episode of The Banski Show. Thank you so much, Mickey Shiloh, for being on The Banski Show.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say that I'm so excited to have you on and talk to you today. I will admit I recently learned about you, but I instantly just love what you're doing and love what you're creating in so many different aspects. You do so much. For the listeners here, you're going to learn about an individual, young entrepreneur that started as a songwriter. She has developed into a music business mogul to CEO, co-founder of Bedroom Records, HRDRV. We're going to learn a little about all these different ventures that she's started. She's Forbes 30 Under 30. There's really a lot going on with the one and only Mickey Shiloh. Thank you so much for joining us, Mickey Shiloh. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm doing good. I'm staying hydrated, staying inside, staying safe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I know in these crazy times, hopefully, whenever you're listening to this is we're not in the same situation, but we make do.
Right.
Speaking of that, it's this whole new dynamic of just online conference rooms and interaction online. It's like it's more accepted, I think, to show your face and actually spend time doing it online.
Mm-hmm.
It just blows my mind. And it's actually one of the ways I discovered you. Well, in your multiple ventures, I was actually just recently in one of your webinars, actually today, learning about licensing with Theo Ellis, which was amazing, very educational. Like I said, that's how I found you, found your books, and then that led into the webinar. And I just got to say, before we continue, the songwriting co-write session that I was in just the other day was absolutely mind-blowing. It was.
By the way, you're like the ideal. I mean, I don't want to call you a client yet, but I feel like you're kind of becoming a client in a way. You're like the ideal person just in my sphere of, followers or friends or fans, because you just instantly like thrust yourself into like, the work. Even when I asked you about, the software you're using for this, like you said, I researched. I'm like, oh my gosh, people still do that? That's so good. But no, I really just appreciate your, I don't even know what the word is. I was going to say persistence, but that sounds like you're annoying and you're not. It's like just throwing yourself into, things that you want to learn about. So that's all I was going to say was that I appreciate that.
Thank you. You have to do that. And that's how you got to where you are, I'm sure. And we'll get into that. So much to talk about, but let's start. You're a multi-platinum singer-songwriter. Those written, you've written for countless people, Brittany Spears, Pitbull, Janet Jackson, to name a few. Like I said, you have the state-of-art futuristic record label that I feel like is on the precipice, it's just beginning. And it's already won me over, and I'm sure it's gonna. I'm sure it's gonna do the same for other people. Just a matter of time. Where
Right.
did you learn how to write songs, and how did you first get introduced to the art of songwriting, this music?
Yeah. My dad was a rapper. And so growing up, I was just always surrounded by hip hop. And I remember my mom playing Eminem on the way to school, and my dad, Method Man and Redman. And I really just was around, that kind of music. And so my first dream actually was to be a rapper. I remember when I was 5, 6, 7, 8, like writing raps literally in crayon and like notebooks and shit. And being a huge fan of Missy Elliott and all of that. And then where I guess it took a turn into more of the singing and songwriting. I was around 12. I was in the San Francisco Girls Chorus, and I just got introduced to my actual voice, and rapping here and there is still fun for me. I actually put out a rap album last year called 1992, which is the year I was born, which I hadn't rapped in like maybe 10 years, seriously. So I dabble in it still, but yeah, it came from my dad, I would say. There's no one else in my family that's musical. So definitely got sparked from him. And then when I was 15, I linked up with a producer on MySpace, and he's the one that actually taught me the foundation of my songwriting and my business knowledge. His name's Chad Beats, or it's Chad Dexter now. It was Chad Beats when I met him. And he's actually one of my partners with HRDRV too. He was the first guy that I told about HRDRV when I thought about the label in 2019.
Really?
Yeah, so we've remained friends for since 2007, however
You
long
said you
that is.
connected on MySpace?
Yeah, we met on MySpace. Yeah, we met on MySpace. He was in college. I think he was maybe sophomore, junior in college. I was 15. So I remember my mom, when I told her about him, she was like, "We're doing a background check." And so did a background check. He was who he said he was. He was signed to G Unit at the time. So he was working, with 50 Cent and Lloyd
Yeah.
Banks and all this.
Wow.
And yeah, it was just a really great connection and opportunity that, again, due to the internet. I don't know where I'd be without the internet today.
Right. The DM, the direct contact, the accessibility available
Yeah.
to everyone today is just absolutely amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
look at us here,
Right.
connecting and making dreams come true.
Yeah.
I want
Absolutely.
to sorry to cut you off. That I wanted to ask you about your you said you made contact with Chad Dexter through the DMs, the new way of or at least the initiation of new way of networking, in my opinion.
Hmm.
How did you, or what are some tips you can give to an artist, producer, because these are two different people in the music industry that are trying to connect with,
Right.
producers with the musician, an artist, and then vice versa. What are some
Yeah.
tips that you can give to kind of cultivate that relationship between the artist and producer?
Right.
Well, go ahead.
When I was 15, I saw Sean Kingston say how he met J.R. Rodham was he messaged him on MySpace. And so that's actually where I got the idea to start messaging producers on MySpace. Now, I used the mass DM, I don't know what to call it, approach, I guess, where I was literally copy pasting the same message to like every producer that I could find, looking at artists I liked, their top 8s. I think that's how I found Chad, actually, was I was looking at Cassie's page because I loved her song Me and You. And then I saw Ryan Leslie was in her top 8, and then Chad was in Ryan Leslie's top 8. And so, yeah, I followed that Sean Kingston approach of just DMing everyone. And mostly I didn't get responses, but every once in a while, someone would hit me back like, "Oh, yo, you're actually like, there's something there. Like, you've got potential." Because, I was recording my own stuff at home and just putting it up on my MySpace page. But today, all that to say, today it's completely different. It's like spam everywhere. And so I think that you have to approach people much differently. The issue I run into mostly with people trying to reach out to me is that they'll send me novel length DMs, and I don't care. I'm not trying to be mean, but I don't care about your life story. Like, tell me why you're actually like reaching out to me, and don't say, "Can you help me?" That is the worst thing that anyone could possibly ever say. Yes, I love to help people, but I like to help people that also help themselves. So my biggest piece of advice would be to, before you even direct message anybody, whether you're an artist or a producer, cultivate some sort of relationship with them, even just in their comments. Now, that sounds weird, but you need to have they need to have some sort of awareness of you. So rather than just skip right to the cold DM, for the next month, 2 months even, leave comments every once in a while on their photos and leave engaging comments, not just like flame emojis, right? So that's one of my biggest tips would be to, before a direct message, just start trickling your brand awareness, even just in their comments. If you're going to take the Instagram or that kind of approach, which most people do, and that is the easiest. Everyone checks their DMs. The biggest stars in the world check their DMs. They're seeing everything. Don't let anyone tell you they're not. They could have 10 million, 20 million, 30 million followers. They're seeing the messages. So yeah, be careful with the novel length DMs though. That's the killer right there.
Exactly. It's that tact that I want to touch on, is because people need to consider that. And I speak for myself personally. I've went through the part where I had an ego and I thought I was the dopest rapper and no one could fuck with me. You know what I mean? And that's not attractive. People don't want to work with that. And so you got to move intelligently. And like we just spoke about in your webinar class at Hard Drive, you got to move like a business, because you are a business as an artist. Right. So going back, you said that you talking about writing songs in a coloring book.
No, not in a coloring book, but like I had notebooks that with crayons, like I just remember specifically, like at a certain age, having crayons that I was like writing my rhymes with. And then I transitioned to an actual computer, and I still have much of my lyrics, typed up from the early iMac I had, like the one that was like shaped like a microwave. And I have all those text documents from like 2006 maybe, like 2005. Crazy.
The song structure, did that come like naturally of you, just like, since you started so young? I can imagine by the time you're 10, you probably were able to write a structured song.
Right.
And I didn't start even thinking about song structure until like 17 years old, and I was already freestyling, just doing fun stuff.
Right.
I didn't ever even think about structure until way later.
No, I understand that. I think I innately kind of just learned it, honestly. I didn't really explicitly think about how a song is structured probably until I was maybe like 15 or 16, when I started working with Chad, when, he would make, again, explicit comments, not explicit in that kind of a way, but like, targeting specific structural things that I'd never thought about. Like, for instance, the pre-hook needs to be 8 bars long. And I'm like, what? Like, I've never thought about that before. Or like the hook on this song needs to start in the beginning of the song. And then, the more you do that, you just naturally, especially when you get sent an instrumental from a producer that knows what he's doing, you're just going to naturally feel what the parts are. Now, there are a lot of producers that don't know how to structure a song, which means they need to go back to the drawing board and figure out, is this the career? Because if you can't structure a beat, it's just not going to work.
No, I feel you. Especially my brother is my producer, and sometimes he sends me beats, and I'm like, dude, can you like finish structuring it before you send it?
Oh, no, yeah.
It takes me 2 minutes. It's like, but it really takes me 2 months to get around to it, right?
Right. Oh, my goodness. I love it.
Can you tell me what's a defining characteristic of a great chorus?
I mean, just catchiness, period. The lyrics honestly don't matter too much at the end of the day. You listen to some of the greatest pop songs in the world and you read the lyrics out loud, or you look at them and they're not all that great. It's the melody that makes them stand out. So if you had to choose between lyric and melody, I'd always say choose a melody that's catchy. And there are like formulas to making catchy melodies. I'm not someone that knows how to do that. I just feel it. It's magic or it's science. Like, there's 2 ways that people can approach it. For me, I just feel like I have that magic ability, but some people are really scientific with it and can like still figure it out in just the same amount of time. It's just a different approach.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No, I did feel like I was, in the co-write session, it felt like I was in like a professional writing, studio, and I was just a spectator, and the fast pacedness, like literally you wrote 3 songs that night in less than 3 hours. And it takes me, I don't know, I'm embarrassed to say, but it takes me a lot longer to write one song, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
But you're rapping too. So it's a little bit different, honestly. I feel like with rappers, you have to think a little bit harder about your lyrics because you want them to be real punchlines, you know? Like when you're singing, your melodies can, again, kind of mask lyrics that aren't so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I wanted to touch on that songwriting because that's actually how, I wanted to cover the songwriting. You were an author as well. You've wrote so many great books I want to talk about, and of course your business ventures. The books is actually how I got introduced to your brand. I was diving into how to write better songs, and I found your How to Write 100 Songs in a Year.
Mm-hmm.
I love how you have the combos with the book, the ebook and the audiobook, and you just combine it. That's a whole nother topic that you're marketing genius. That's like a whole nother like to go deep into that. And but man, you like buzz out these books just as quick as you buzzed out these songs, and they're just as good. Can you tell me your book writing process, because you've written like 6, 7, 8, 10 books at this point?
Right, probably. Yeah, no, probably close to 10. I don't know. I've lost track. But I mean, the last 4 or 5 are short form books, you know, like 30 to 50 pages. My first official book I started writing in 2017. It's called Indie Bread: How to Make 6 Figures as an Independent Musician from Home. And that took me 2 years to write. And that's because I'd never written a book before. And I also stopped writing it for most of that time. You know, it's like you start it and you stop it, you forget about it for months, and then you come back to it and put it back down. And, you know, so you got to kind of decide, when am I going to sit down and really finish this? So I was just in 2018, I was having like this revelation that I needed a digital product that I could sell. And I was like, damn, I know I started that book last year. Like, I need to just get around to doing it. And so I actually set a month aside in 2019. So even almost a year after I said I need to really get down and write this book, it was almost a year later. I took an entire month to dedicate, you know, a certain amount of hours a day to actually working on it. And so I got through it. And at first, I just sold it on my website. I got like 500 downloads in the first few months, and then I put it on Amazon because they have a Kindle publishing. Oh, hell yeah, dude. Oh, I love that. Oh, shit.
I just wanted to show it.
Oh, I love it.
Just so they get a
Indie Bread. And what's funny, that's not the actual book cover that's like online. That's not the official book cover, but I made that with like Amazon because they have like stock photos that you can use. Because my actual cover wouldn't fit. It wasn't like framing right. But that's what I was going to say. So as far as like publishing and all that stuff goes, I just use, you know, Kindle direct publishing for stuff because they cover the costs and you just get, you know, your little profit or whatever. And I didn't ever really need it to be on Amazon, but I'm really glad that it was because the category I put it in, I think it was music business, but it was -- because there's not many music business books coming out. It was #1 in Amazon music business category for a few weeks. So that was cool.
It's amazing.
But, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, I'm just going to say that book was the hardest part. And then the second book was pretty easy, which was Obvious Secrets. I just had more confidence writing and people appreciating my writing because I wasn't sure at first.
This is the one that you've actually gone back and took all the cliff notes and highlight, and you're going to release a brand new book on February 1st.
Yes.
Which I've pre-ordered.
Hey, see, you're the perfect person. I love it.
And what's the name of the book? Tell us everyone how they can pre-order themselves.
Yeah, so I might turn the pre-order off, honestly, because that's one thing in sales is you always want to create urgency. And also, like, it's gonna be 20. I might even make it 29. There's just there's too much value in it. But yeah, it's called How to Build and Automate Your Business. It's like you said, it's a recap of obvious secrets, just like you said, literally all the cliff notes, and also more tools. Because even though I released it less than a year ago, I've discovered so many more business tools that have completely even revolutionized my work process the last 6 to 12 months. So there'll be even more tools and stuff in there now.
And that's one of the things I like about your work is that you dive into the tactics, the specific action steps that you did. You go, I was actually thinking about the same thing, like, what should I create as far as a digital product? And I'm going to write a book about how to get your royalties. And then I got your book, and like, you knocked it out in like 2 paragraphs. I'm like, great. Now it's going to look like I'm plagiarizing.
I'm done. No.
It was the first time I've heard someone explain it almost like exactly like how I planned on explaining it. Just very clearly, because the music business is so obscure. It's kind of hard to wrap your mind around it with the PROs, sound exchange, digital distributors.
Right.
And that's just the surface. But yeah,
exactly. It is.
Like one of your quotes when you said that songs can be written just out of regular ass conversations, like that hit me so hard that I'm like, dude, that's so true.
Yeah. I mean, I had to learn that as a working songwriter, going to sessions with artists all the time where like you had to create out of thin air. You just have to have conversations with them.
Just go with it. And
they'll resonate with that most anyway when it's coming from them and from, that combo that you're having with them.
Right. Yeah. That's actually an important point, because you want to, if you're co-writing, you got to make sure that they're involved emotionally and engaged. And
right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Another quote in your 100K, to how to make 100K from 0 fans. You wrote, the more I became aware of my own value, the more opportunities I was able to create for myself. I was grocery shopping when I was listening to that audiobook, and I was like, oh my God, that I like stopped and like wrote it down. I wrote down the marketing, because, dude, that's so true. Like, it's one of the biggest things that I see with people. They just don't understand that they have value, and that once they cultivate it and nourish it, and it can go so far. So thank you for just teaching people what they need to know. Is there any self-help book? I don't know if you can tell, I love self-help books. So I wanted to ask you, is there any self-help books that really impacted your life? Like for me personally, one was The Magic of Thinking Big by David J. Schwartz. I read that when I was going to college, and it really talked about the unconscious mind and how you give it and it goes straight to work without questioning the orders that it's given. And it always stuck with me. Is there any book that was kind of pivoting for you as far as your paradigm and just the way you look at life?
Yeah, no, absolutely. The first self-help book I read and thoroughly enjoyed front to back, which I don't usually read books front to back, was Wishes Fulfilled by Wayne Dyer. The late Wayne Dyer. There was something in it that I remember when I read it completely shifted my mindset when it comes to manifestation. And I'm not going to try and remember it because I'm going to butcher his amazing work. But it had something to do with a drop in the ocean. You haven't read that book, have you? So you can't even help me out with remembering this.
I'm sorry. No, it's okay. I wrote it down though.
No. But overall, I didn't believe fully in manifestation before I read that book in 2013, which is so weird. That's 7-8 years ago now, and our entire lives are literally manifested. One of my favorite metaphors for people that don't understand what manifestation is when you want a coffee from Starbucks, we're sitting at home right now, you literally in your mind envision that venti frappuccino, right? You can clearly see it. You get in your car, you go to Starbucks, and you get it, and it's then in your hand. And that, on the simplest sense, is manifestation that we're doing daily. Like that literally is manifestation. You got the coffee and it's now physically in your hand, right? People don't realize that they're doing that on the biggest scale. And when you look around, when I look around my apartment that I'm living in right now, I just moved here in July. Like this is the first apartment I saw on the internet when I was thinking to move from LA. It's like, I saw it, and whether I could or couldn't afford it, I'm like, I'm going to live there. And now I'm here. And we do that every day in so many ways. Last thing I'm going to say about that is I also recently heard that the life you're living now is the life that you perceived 3 to 5 years ago. So I always like to bring that up in conversations when talking about manifestation, is that your thoughts right now are creating your literal life 3 to 5 years from now. So we have to focus on our daily thinking, right? What are those thoughts producing?
Yeah, it makes you think about every negative thought that just pops in your head unwillingly. Totally. It's amazing how the manifestation kind of teachings is kind of exploded. It feels like, I don't know if it was around before I was born. I'm sure. I mean,
yeah, it's ancient.
The books I'm reading are old. So
right.
Yeah. I've often hear you talk about, and in the few classes, hard drive seminar classes I've been, and people mention knowing your why, and even in some of the posts, like from Johnny Wisdom, I think he mentioned something like that. And it is important to know your why. But do you think people should keep their why confidential, or is it something that should be shared, or does that affect?
No, I mean, it's totally a personal choice. I think that the reason most self-help gurus, for instance, are so big is because they share their why of wanting to help people in everything they do, whether they're saying it, it's in their actions. So, again, I don't know why anyone would not want to share it, especially if they are creating a life where they're trying to help people. Like it's, I guess it can come off without you saying it, if that makes sense. But no, I think, yeah, it's totally a personal choice. You would never have to say it to anybody, but I don't see why you wouldn't want to. If it's a genuine why. Some people's why is not genuine, and so maybe they want to keep it to themselves.
I guess most people probably just don't even know their why. They're
right.
not aware.
So that's the problem. That's 99% of the problem is like purpose. What is the purpose of life?
That's the main issue.
Yeah.
So I guess this is a loaded question to follow up with is, do you know your why, Mickey Shiloh?
Yeah, absolutely.
You do? Would you be willing to share that with us?
Yeah, it's a little bit long-winded. If I could consolidate it, I mean, my why, one of my biggest purposes in my life is I want to create something that outlives me. I want to create generational wealth for my family and future family. And so my platform for doing that is, obviously, it started with music, but music wasn't a big enough purpose for me. I only felt as good as my last song. I felt hollow. This is, back up to 2017, 2018, when I was trying to figure out what my why was, right? So it wasn't even that long ago that I finally got down to it, that I want to help people. That at the end of the day was the only thing that felt right to me. So wrapping it all up, I mean, my why is building, again, foundations that outlive me, because legacy is just, in my mind, the most important thing. It terrifies me to think that, God forbid something happened to me tomorrow and everything I've worked so tirelessly over just goes away.
When you realized your why, did you feel it? Did you feel a change in your inner being?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That day forward. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just, at the end of 2018, I was depressed. I was chronically depressed all of 2018. I'm also bipolar, so it was from that, honestly, not totally situational to my life. It was just chemicals in my brain fucking up. But I was at the end of a really, really bad depression. And when I finally kind of awakened to this newfound purpose, I absolutely, from that day forward, just I started building all these things that, went hand in hand with that purpose, and, the books and hard drive and, anything that I do to help other creators get to where they want to be. So yeah, yes, things did change.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned that you were diagnosed with bipolar. Is there anything you want to touch on that and share with that? I know that you're really involved in normalizing the conversation and kind of making it, removing the stigma really that is just in the way to for to create conducive conversations, to
Yeah.
talk about what's going on in people's heads, and especially, I mean, with the lockdown and shutdowns, it's the problems are just amplified. So
Yeah,
I
sure.
your voices like yourself are even that much more needed, I believe.
No.
And you're really one of the first person I met another person actually who used to work for IMRO, is one of mine, health organization. They are with Staglin Family Vineyard, and they do fundraising for mental health, and they have one every year, and they raise millions of dollars. They do it in Napa Valley. A bunch of
Oh, wow.
wine people get there. They have a huge party, and they donate
Love that.
all kinds of money.
Sounds like where I need to be.
I'd be happy to connect with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, one of the co-founders is he's schizophrenic, but
Oh, wow.
he's actually totally functional. One of the nicest dudes I've met,
Oh,
and the amazing. Yeah, absolutely. We can talk about that later. That's awesome.
yeah.
I also wanted to touch into your business ventures, obviously, but before I go into that route, there's an author that I'm a fan of, Ramit Sethi. He's kind of gives financial advice, and he talks about your rich life, and that your rich life is defined by whatever you want to spend your money on, instead of like all these rules about like don't spend money on lattes and cut this and that. Like, no, just focus on what, if you care about shopping, then spend your money on shopping and minimizing other stuff. If you care about traveling, then do traveling, and then you won't buy a house. You'll just be renting. So, if that works for you, is there, I'm just wanted to ask you, what do you spend your money on? Because I feel like, it reflects what you care about most, especially where you are in life. I don't think you're messing around with your time. So obviously you're being as much efficient as possible. So what do you tend to spend your money on?
100%. I break even every year. I spend every penny that's not going to rent and food on my businesses. Like, for instance, the new hard drive web app that we're building, it's going to be about 40K by the end of phase one, which is ending in the next couple months. Like, I literally, it's those kind of things. Any automation software is, the Zapiers. I mean, that's only $240 a year, but it's like, any sort of business tools I'm constantly investing in. But, I live in a state that is very high in the taxes, and rent is crazy. So, I mean, at least half of my money goes literally towards that kind of stuff. But maybe I'll move to Texas soon. My friends are trying to get me to move. I don't know. But I'm bougie, and I like to live where I live. And so, yeah, it's those basic things. But at the end of the day, I'm not out here frivolously spending money. One of the downsides of being bipolar is when you are having a manic episode, oftentimes, one of the symptoms is spending money excessively. And so I have had to, over the years, get out of an incredible amount of credit card debt. So part of that I actually am still paying off, but we're in a much better position now. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the app that you mentioned, the hard drive app, this is new. It hasn't, so it's still in development. I know you've been posting a little bit about it. It sounds amazing. Let's just go into, so the hard drive is your record label, but there's so many services you guys offer. You guys work with producers, artists. You guys have the app coming out, which I'm sure is going to be direct to consumer.
Yeah, Yeah, it's going to be a web app, so it's still not mobile yet. But I mean, it's just going to be the website. But
Mhm.
there's way more functionalities than the current website, which I built myself on Wix.com. So yeah, we're custom coding literally everything. And yeah, I haven't spent any money on marketing Hard Drive. It's all been word of mouth. We have 2,000 members now. And my goal is by the end of this year to have 20,000 members. So we're gonna get there some way somehow. I'm excited.
Could you tell me in your own words what, if you're explaining to someone who had no idea, what is hard drive?
Mhm. We are a creative service. At the end of the day, a creative service for music creators specifically. We do distribution admin too, meaning like we can play the middleman between people that want to get their songs out to all streaming platforms. But the one thing that makes us different and why we say, we're the world's most artist friendly label is that we're completely non-exclusive and we don't ever require our artists to release music with us or use our services if they don't want to. If they just want to a la carte it and use, let's say artwork or visualizers or the mixing and mastering or the production library or, getting on Roku and Amazon Fire TV, like, you can kind of pick and choose what you need and what you want.
Mhm.
And the most powerful part of our company is absolutely just the community that's being built. It's not even the services, it's the people that are supporting each other. Our artists will like save each other's pre-save links, and we have an online studio now. Which you came to one of the sessions, Hard Drive Studio, which literally I've never seen anything like that in music before. People are paying, not a lot of money, $15 a ticket to come in for 3 hours and see, engineers and producers create and other songwriters create on the spot. It's like I've never seen anything like it. It's the community, really.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
That which makes me excited about in-person events. Do you guys have those planned? Like for, um, there's so many things you guys could take it. There's so many directions you guys could take it. But
Yeah. Well,
like,
I can't plan anything now. I did have an event space actually in LA in August that I got. It was called Kick It Spot, and then we renamed it Hard Drive HQ. And we had huge parties, events up until March
mhm,
when COVID hit, and
sure.
I had to spend a shitload of money to break the lease at that place. But yeah, so right now, no, I would love to, but it might be shit end of the year, maybe 2022. Got to see how COVID goes.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to fly down to LA. That's probably what's
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. We're so
gonna be lit.
actually I lied to you. The first in-person thing that we're doing this year, it's very limited. That's why I don't even talk about it. But
Sure.
we have our Drive Awards. So our first annual Drive Awards was last year. So the second annual is this year in April, and we're gonna have. I'm thinking maybe 5 to 10 performers, hard drive artists, of course. Everyone needs to be COVID tested before they
Mhm.
come out. But we're going to be streaming it live with a company called Headliner Live, and they're going to film the award show. And I don't know who's going to host, but I can't be the host. I got to get someone else. Maybe Chris
Yeah,
Tucker, somebody
yeah.
funny. Yeah,
Dude, that would be lit. Get a comedian. Yep.
yeah.
I'm excited for the future of hard drive and everything that you're building. I truly am.
Yeah.
Um,
Thanks.
wow. So yeah, the university hard drive TV. We didn't even touch on that. That's like another YouTube distribution admin offering free production from the best producers, collab, co-write sessions. Yeah, I really never heard of this ever before.
Right.
Um, then investment programs, you got the art visualizers, and then the consultations and the mentorship program. Do you tell us a little bit about the mentorship program and consultations?
Yeah, so I mean, those right now are just more so one offs. We have, 6 or 7 primary team members that lead those calls. I'm one of them. And literally, we just get on the call and, hey, where are you at? Where are you trying to go? And we provide the resources, whether they're hard drive resources or not. One of the things that I always want to embed in our community is, of course, or with our team members is yes, of course, always route people to our services if it's something we provide. But if it's not, like, don't make shit up. We need to route
Mhm.
them somewhere else to get what they need. So it's usually people that are just starting. I rarely do calls with people that are like, complete vets. It's always like somewhere between the start and the middle, or they're kind of feeling stagnant. But it's a lot of the same questions at the end of the day. That's why I take breaks from doing mentorship. I'll do it for maybe 6 months out of the year because I'm like, man, I'm tired of these same questions.
For real. Hopefully. I mean, I know I've asked some of these same questions that you've probably
Not
been
you.
asking.
I mean, no. In consults, it's like the same questions from consult clients, meaning like, what's better, a single or an album first? That's like one of the number one questions.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
like those kind of things.
Yes. It's the elementary questions that you can find out from a Google search.
Exactly. Or read one of my books. That's the reason that I write books also. It's like every answer that you're asking me is in this book. I DM people that shit all the time. Here, it's in this book. And then 1 out of 10 people will actually get it. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll talk to you more because you actually applied to your, you applied yourself. Your
work is out there. It's the bait is out there, and there's the fish are going to bite for sure. And it's going to help people.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about. Let's see how much do we got? A little bit of time left.
Mm-hmm.
Your latest hits. I've been bumping Main Squeeze, and you just dropped your video for Doing Me, and it's available. Is correct me if I'm wrong. Exclusively
it's only Hard Drive TV right now. It's actually it's on Roku and Amazon Fire TV as of this morning, but also it's Hard Drive TV's channel. So I've been doing that just to try and use whatever fan base I have to get more people to download our channels, since I'm technically the biggest artist on Hard Drive, I guess, but I don't actually release my music through Hard Drive. Although I could. I try to separate me from the face of it because it's not about me.
Right.
So Doing Me, and I've dropped like 3 or 4 videos the past few months. I'm not an artist that usually does videos, so I thought that would be kind of cool to give people something to also watch.
Make Squeeze.
Thank you.
That song's a hit.
So I created that on a live session with Headliner Live, kind of like the collab session that you saw. I wrote it with 20 other people in the room, like chatting on the side. Yeah.
That's many.
Yeah. It was fun. It was definitely fun.
That's awesome. And it features Tommy Will, and I remember you mentioning in the co-write session that you have a group with Tommy Will. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's called Shift. SHFT, like the shift button. Yeah. We're actually dropping a single every Sunday this entire year. So we've got until like March scheduled out now.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, we're calling it Sunday Shift. Yeah. It's like that, hashtag Sunday Shift, but
that's so sick.
Yeah, we just create music so quickly. And so once you get to the point of quantity and quality, like there's no reason to hold on to it. You're just planting seeds. Right.
Yeah. Get it out there. You never know who's going to connect with it. Mm-hmm. And since you have so many songs, might as well flood the market.
Flood it.
I wanted to ask you specifically about Windows featuring Jacka and Keek the Sneak. Mm-hmm. I'm curious how that song came about.
Wow. So 2013, I was out in the Bay Area. I was in a session with Tracks a Million. He was the producer of the song. He was playing tracks in a regular session. And he played that beat and he skipped past it. And I was like, bruh, go back to that beat. He's like, this one? And yeah, dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. I ran in the booth and I just, the hook came out. Don't roll down windows. It just came out right away. And then he was like, oh shit, this is actually pretty hard. And then he's the one that, got Jack on and Keek and all that within a matter of a week or two. And then Big Vaughn picked it up and, it's been on the radio in the Bay Area ever since. It's been running for 7-8 years now, like on 106.1 KMEL. That's how it happened. I just heard the beat. I liked it, ran in the booth, recorded it. He was going to brush right past it.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love the origin stories like that. It's like, and that's on the slap. So
yeah, thank you.
I had to ask that. I wanted to play a special section. I actually reached out to a couple of your fans, and
no, you did not.
I had some people drop some questions for you.
Oh, shit. Oh, you're good at this.
We got some questions for you. From first one is Eunice.
Oh,
Let's see if it
hard
plays.
drive artist. Oh, they recorded it.
Interesting questions for Mickey, but I'd stick to a chill, less serious question. What does an ideal day off look like for Mickey Shiloh?
What does an ideal day look like for Mickey Shiloh?
As she said, what does an ideal day off look like?
Oh, an ideal day off. I actually took a day off 2 days ago. Was it 2 days ago? Thursday. Yeah, I laid in bed all day and watched The Bachelor and Black Mirror and what else? I fell asleep a few times. I literally have not taken an entire day off like that since I was depressed in 2018. So I was actually telling my friend yesterday, I was like, oh my God, this is the first time I've not done anything and not been depressed. Like I was just taking a day off. That was pretty ideal. Like if I could just, I mean, I would have rathered honestly to maybe go outside and do shit. Like if COVID wasn't here, I'd definitely want to go out to eat because now there's no outdoor dining where I am. But, you know, I could go on and on, but it was just nice to actually literally do nothing. That's my ideal day. Yeah. And maybe see friends. But again, it's weird times right now.
Wow. It's just like the coincidence of you literally just took your first day off the other day.
I literally did. And
That's so funny.
It was awesome. It was awesome. I can't do that often though, because I felt bad yesterday. I'm like, I can't ever do that again. So much work to catch up on.
Yeah, so much responsibility. People are.
Well, I also just hired my first VA a week or two ago and a virtual assistant, you know, so I actually can do that more now because I'm not having to be on my email so much. She's like taking care. I made so many training decks and videos for her to like do everything now.
Gotcha. So. Yeah. So you took a note from Tim Ferriss and you got your VA.
Yes.
So it started this year for the first time, or?
Yeah.
The speaker.
You're all good. Yeah, no, before, I mean, I have team members, obviously, that do handle a lot of admin stuff for me. But at the end of the day, I don't trust people, even though they are trustworthy. I just have a really hard time letting go of control. So I'm always like micromanaging things. But that's my biggest goal this year is just to delegate literally every last thing that I can delegate.
If you don't mind me asking, where did you find your VA, your assistant?
Upwork.com.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I have a couple more questions.
Yeah, let's get it.
All right, so one more from Maya.
Okay.
Hey, Mickey, it's your girl Maya. I just wanted to ask, what is your most important failure? Like, what is the failure that created your success?
Damn, these are really good questions. Wow, my most important failure. I mean, it's hard to call it a failure because I would say mental illness. I mean, it's not really my fault, but I've done some very embarrassing things during manic episodes, right? And so I learned after being hospitalized 5 times, you know, from 2013 to 2016, or 2017 was actually my last hospitalization. I learned what leads up to those occurrences, right? And so, which is smoking weed a lot and drinking a lot and not sleeping. So I'm like, okay, after 4 or 5 times of learning this lesson, with, you know, having bipolar disorder, that was my most important failure that led to the success is learning that I had to grow up and really take my mental health seriously. I don't want to be in and out of hospitals for the rest of my life. You know, I need to get my sleep. Sleep needs to be a priority. I need to not smoke weed. If I can't smoke weed, I'm just not a person that can smoke weed. All right, every once in a while maybe, but not for days and months and years. So yeah, I learned how to handle my mental illness, which is actually a gift at the end of the day.
Yeah. Know thyself. That's a great answer. A great question.
Thank you.
One last question from Dan.
Okay.
Hey, Mickey, this is Dan dialing in from Frankfurt, Germany. My question would be, as someone with your profile, vision, foresight, and all of your remarkable accomplishments, is there still anything you love to do? Maybe something like a dream project that you still have.
Wow, a dream project. Damn, that is a good one. You know what? It's got to be a health goal then, because I feel like on a business tip, I've definitely already planted all the seeds that I want to, and I'm like doing that consistently. I think that my next goal is just like my ideal body. I love my body. I've gotten to a place where, I love it, especially as a female. That's a struggle for, I think, every woman on the face of the planet. But I think my goal this year is going to be getting my body fat percentage down so that I'm really toned. I haven't been toned since like 2013. So I would say that's definitely like my dream project, but I'm actively working on that every day. I got a tonal system on my wall now. It's like the digital weight machine. Got my treadmill now, my bike. Like I be going in. So that's my next project. My body.
Sweet.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing. Definitely could see you doing something big in the mental health space. That's yet to come.
Yes.
And we'll definitely all stay tuned in to you, Mickey Shiloh, and Hard Drive, and everything that you're doing is very inspiring. And I just recommend everybody listening right now, go ahead and look up Mickey Shiloh. What's the best way people can get in contact with you?
Instagram. My email is in my Instagram bio as well, and that goes directly to me. So, well, the VA now, but I do still look at, my personal emails just to make sure that everything's being taken care of. So there we go. Yeah, Instagram for sure. And I do look at my DMs as well. So if you say something other than, hey, let's work, I'll probably respond.
For sure. Awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. And being a part. I appreciate it so much, Mickey, and thank you for being the first guest on the Banski Show.
Hey,
hey,
very perfect.
Hey,
love it.
Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the Banski Show. If you've enjoyed this episode, do us a huge favor, show some love, and leave a review on Apple Podcast or iTunes. This will boost our exposure and help others discover the Banski Show as well. Or leave a review on Podchaser, Podbean, or Stitcher. A huge thank you to Mickey Shiloh for an amazing first episode of The Banski Show. Visit HRDRV.com, that's spelled HRDRV.com, for all the artist resources we discussed here and more. I recommend you sign up, join the community, connect with like-minded individuals. I highly recommend the co-write collab sessions. Was hella fun. Listen to all of Mickey Shiloh's music at bedroomrecords.com. That's spelled BDRM records.com. You can learn more about Mickey Shiloh at our website, mickeyshilo.com, and follow her on IG, Twitter at Mickey Shiloh. You can follow me, Banski, at Banski Hip Hop on IG, YouTube, Twitter, BanskiHipHop.com, or visit our official merch store, livingadreamrecords.com. Lusky and I just dropped our video for our single Lit Lit featuring The Underdog, so go ahead and check that out on YouTube as well. Or check out this preview. Thank you so much for again listening, tuning in, and please stay tuned for the next episode of The Banski Show. Oh, it's lit. Big boss. What up, Don the Dog? Banski. Big shit. Not loose to the end. I'm too lit. I'm too lit. Big bosses, we do big shit. Slide through like an ice cube. Big drip. Tycoon fly to the moon. Lifted. I'm too lit.